Hi everyone! I'm Catherine, Teen Services Librarian for the Gwinnett County Public Library, and welcome to the Totally Lit Monthly Book Talk. This month, instead of talking about a specific genre or authors, I'm going to do something a little different and tell you which YA books checked out the most from GCPL in 2020.
So I actually found the books that made it to the top 50 in our library system to be a bit surprising. You'll see the top ones on the screen as I'm talking. The surprising part to me is that most of the books on the list aren't new books, but great older books that are still hanging in there for popularity. Most were from series, some are just the newest in the series, but for two series in particular, it was pretty much every book in the series that made it on the list. There are a few standalones or new first books in series, and there's also one author that had both of her books make the list. So let's start with the book that was checked out more than any other in 2020. And that is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, which is a prequel to the Hunger Games series. It takes place at the 10th annual Hunger Games, and readers get some insight into the background of President Snow. I think the release of this book in May of 2020 sparked some renewed interest in the original series too. In fact, all 4 Hunger Games books are in the top 10. The second most checked out book was The Hunger Games. Coming in at number 3 is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This is the first book in the Harry Potter book series by J.K. Rowling that is classified as teen and not kids in the GCPL collection. This title and the next 2 in the series, Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows, are all on the list, and in fact all in the top 10, coming in at 3, 6, and 7th place. This wasn't completely unexpected to me since the series is still so popular, but it did make me happy because it is a favorite of mine. Interestingly though, Book 5, Order of the Phoenix, is my least favorite Harry Potter book, so I was surprised to see it came in at the 3rd most popular book at GCPL. The next series is The Legacy of Orisha by Tomi Adeyemi. Both books in this series are in the top 50, with the first book in the series, Children of Blood and Bone, coming out in the 4th spot. This series is a West African-inspired fantasy with a mix of dark magic and danger. Magic used to thrive in Orisha, but under the orders of the king, anyone with magic was targeted and killed. The main character, Zélie, still has her powers, and she is fighting to bring the magic back to her people and take on the monarchy and the crown prince, who is trying to destroy magic for good. If you haven't read this series yet, I highly recommend it. Also making the list is both of Angie Thomas's books, published prior to 2020, The Hate U Give and On the Come Up. I actually talked about Angie Thomas and her books in the first Totally Lit book talk back in September on realistic fiction. If you haven't read her books, you absolutely should. Here's a quote from a Publisher's Weekly starred review for The Hate U Give. Though Thomas's story is heartbreakingly topical, its greatest strength is in its authentic depiction of a teenage girl, her loving family, and her attempts to reconcile what she knows to be true about their lives with the way those lives are depicted and completely undervalued by society at large. Her second book, On the Come Up, takes place in the same town as The Hate U Give, Garden Heights. It follows 16-year-old Bree, who wants to be one of the greatest rappers of all time. Don't forget to check out her latest book, Concrete Rose. It just came out this month and takes us back to Garden Heights, but 17 years before the events of The Hate U Give take place. Midnight Sun also made the list, and if you're unfamiliar with this title, it is a companion book to the Twilight series by Stephenie Meyer. In this one, we are taken back to Forks, Washington, but this time we get to hear the story from Edward's perspective. Next is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is the first book of a new series just out in February of 2020. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It brings us Pippa Fitz-Amobi, who as part of a school project is investigating a 5-year-old murder case everyone believes to be closed. But she's not so sure they got it right. As she starts to uncover clues and secrets, there is someone who desperately wants those to stay hidden. How far will they go to keep her from the truth? This one is another new series with the first book out in February of last year. All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. This is sort of a dark fantasy set in a kingdom with danger at every turn. Amora is set to rule a kingdom, but when her magic goes astray at a ceremony, she ends up on the run and finds out her kingdom is not what she thought it was. Now instead of just fighting for the fight to rule, she is fighting to protect her kingdom from a dangerous new magic. This last book I'm going to talk about is The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. It is a standalone novel that is billed as an epic YA tale of ambition and love. Alessandra has a plan to gain power. She has to make the Shadow King choose her to be his queen, and then she has to kill him to have the kingdom for herself. However, with matters of the heart, she of course has to keep herself from falling for him too.
As always, there are so many great titles out there, and for a look at the top 50 YA books checked out from GCPL in 2020, take a look at the book list linked in the post description. Comment below and tell us what your favorite book of 2020 is.